fulfill it with the first products coming out, you're falling in a huge and deep debt of value of tax. And come out of that is much more critical than just to put a new product on the street or in the road. I'm representing, or I'm an employee of Volkswagen. I'm also representing the Green Vehicle Initiative and the technology platform Język. So I'm home in the road transport sector, and these two gremia represent more or less 80% of Europe's industry in the road transport sector and 80% of the products in that sector. So it's a huge industry collection. And the question we very often have is, or what we very often see is, our competitors, and this is what we are speaking about. We speak about competition. Our competitors are not inside Europe, they are outside Europe. And we are often fighting member states against member states and not recognizing that the real enemies are outside Asia, US, where else, and what might come up, Korea. So we have to come together and make it happen and look how can we go forward, how we can speed up, and how can we keep the healthy status of our area we currently have. So I think we need to overcome this, or to do that, an excellent cooperation and really close cooperation between politics and industry. Technology platforms are an excellent way in doing that. We in AirTruck, we have directly involved European Commission, that's clear, but all of the member states, which is very important if you come nearer to a product. And the Commission forced us in Horizon 2020 to go more towards the market, to higher TRL levels. I think we made a lot of discussion on that, whether this makes sense or not. Gabriel knows best. It makes sense, yes, but we should not overrun that. And just to give you a simple example why. In Horizon 2020, Commission is speaking about the biggest research program we ever had in Europe. But I say it's one of the smallest. It's much less. It's much too less money we have. And why? If you want to switch one TRL level higher, or maybe two TRL levels, you have to duplicate, triple, or improve by a factor of 10 the money you need. Just a simple example from our company. We have roughly 50,000 development engineers and roughly 1,000 researchers. So there's a factor 50 in between. And you can also quote the 10 billion euros we every year invest in R&D by this factor, which means that just a small portion is really needed for research. And this is where Horizon 2020 came from. If we're now going a little bit a step higher to higher TRL levels, we have to go this way of the money. So where does the money come from? And that means that those initiatives like creating this new instrument of important project of common European interest may create this additional money, but not to be found. We cannot create it inside of Horizon 2020, that's much less. Or we would kill the research on the broad way, which is necessary to push up some new ideas and innovations. So we have to keep the innovation on the one side and have to transfer it into a better product on the other way, but with additional money. So I think one description of the value of death is very important for me, and because I feel this is the most critical one. Every 10 years we are running a new highway. We can look very much far away back. You find that if I take just 20 years ago, we all discussed about biofuels. This was the biggest issue. Oh yes, we can get rid of all these crude oil-based energies. We can switch to biomaterial. It was a lot of research underway, looking on several ways how to do that. First, industry came up, popped up biodiesel very famous in Germany, I think also in Poland, everywhere. And if you look now on the scene, where are those companies? 50% closed, all the rest is not profitable. And the politics doesn't want even to hear this word. The Commission started discussion about a new renewable energy directive, and they stopped doing that because they recognized, oh, this is a real hot topic. Yeah. And there is no real need for this because we have another hype now, e-mobility. The same happened. The first prototypes came out. Somebody somewhere in the world, in the US or in China, jumped up and said, I have the solution, I have the best ever e-mobility electric vehicle. And all of a sudden, everybody, every member state created expectations of millions of cars being on the roads in just 1 year or 2 years. And even some companies made plans for that, expected 20% of all the cars being fully electrified in 2020. And now, if you look on the situation, 10 years after the first prototypes have been presented, we are below 1% share. We have in some countries huge incentives to push that a little bit, but if a larger country would do the same, like Norway, we would get bankrupt immediately because there's no tax incentive, tax income anymore if you spend 50,000 euros per car on tax incentive. Which is the case there. And it is the reason why the best-selling car there is a Tesla, which normally costs 94,000 euros, and it's overselling a Golf, which costs 40,000 euros, because after this incentive, the Tesla is less expensive than the Golf. So this is not a healthy market. This will not create value on the long run. And currently, if we look on the newspapers, what are the news? Not. We are living in an electrified world, we are starting to get up. Now the news are, oh, electrification failed. It was a mistake. We have to rethink about that. NGOs coming up and saying, oh, as long as we feed those cars with coal-fired power plants energy, it's higher CO2 production than a normal standard car. So criticism comes up and everything gets nervous about that, and the customer decides, no, I will step away because it seems to be not clear whether this really is the future. And this is the most critical point, because this huge overestimation at the beginning and the deep fall back into reality could be shoot a technology down to zero. If now not we find a way of realism and put it on the right way to bring it into the market with realistic figures, market-driven, with the right framework conditions and support. And this is what is for me necessary, especially here for Europe. If I put three cases together to say what is necessary to overcome especially those kinds of valleys of death, but it could be also used for other kinds of death valleys. I would override my first cases with start early. Which means, with the first idea in a university on a new product, we have to think about what could this technology be finally in a product, how could it help, what is the reason, why should the customer buy it, what is the driving force behind it. And in a lot of universities in Germany, even those who are sitting right in front of a big company like Volkswagen, we have a lot of professors who are saying, we don't want any contact with industry. This is diluting my research. And it's dangerous, my science. I just need me and my assistant to create a Nobel Prize. But real arguments I got when I offered the help to support an institute, this was the answer. I couldn't believe that nowadays, but it is still the reality. Good luck, we get new generations of professors and new drive in the universities, so they may help a little bit. but it takes time, too much time. We have to speed up. If you compare it with US or with China, we have already in the university let me say, an innovation strategy which push every researcher to think about product creation and how he can enter the market. So I think we have to start early into that, and we have to start early in creating an expectation management. So when a new prototype is coming on in the first time in the market, we have to think about how can we promote it in public, in press, in policy, to avoid an overestimation of the time which is needed to introduce it. To change things in society takes really time. Change things in the energy sector takes a long time. This is the most conservative thing. And if you take the example of electromobility, this is really needs a change in the mindset of our customers, people, the society, and in the energy, because it only makes sense if we use it with renewable energy. So we have to do both in a way. And this takes time. So we have to make an expectation management. How can we do this? Again, technology platforms, PPPs. Because here people come together and discuss what is the expectation, what is the technological needs of the technique, what do we have to develop to make what happen, and what is the required framework, and what then could be the resulting numbers of products in the market. So, as an example, in the Green Vehicle Initiative, we created this electromobility roadmap, which is very recognized in the industry and political sector. We said, yes, it is possible to have 5 million electric cars on the roads in 2020 here in Europe. This is a huge number. But it's also written exactly down what is needed to make that happen. And if we look at today's situation, in terms of technology, what takes just an example, the energy density of the batteries, the lifetime, recyclability, and everything else is written down. We have more or less 3/4 of that in our pocket already, and the next generation will demonstrate that level. So we could say, okay, technology might be ready. From the cost side, we are on an excellent way. There have been dramatic cost reduction in the production of battery cells. So, okay, we are also on the right track. But if you look on the political framework, we are far away from being what has been described there. We have incentive programs which huge diverse in Europe. In Germany, we have more or less nothing. In France, you get 5,000 euros, I think now, coming down from 7,000 euros per car. In Denmark, and in Norway, you have all those around that. In Norway, you have this tax exemption which leads to a reduction of the cost up to 50,000 euros. It depends on the cost of the car, but which makes currently that the electric car is less expensive than a standard combustion engine driven car. So it's a huge variety of incentive programs, but there is no single European base that a customer clearly can recognize this is the reason why I get this incentive, and this is the reason why it is good to have such a car. This is not exactly recognized. There is even no single description of what is an electrified car. We have battery electric, full electric, we have may have fuel cell cars, we have plug-in hybrid technology, and then you need a definition. What is a preferred car? What is such a car who gets should get such an incentive? We have to make that clear, and this is not available. We have a lot of problems in installing charging stations. We have not only European requirements, we have regional requirements. Even the mayor has some requirements, how those charging stations should look like. These problems deal with the standards of charging. We have agreed to a European standard called CCS, Combined Charging System.